right, Shalom. Shalom. First off, I want to start off by saying all praises, honor, and glory is due unto Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushai, by Hashem Karkadash. All praises to the world calls God, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem meaning in the name, and Yahushai being the name of the only begotten Son. I also want to say double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and mercy to the hopeful elect preaching this word in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother talks about Lord Will, with another video to edify, prophesying the downfall of America, Babylon the Great, the downfall of the Edomites, which are so-called Caucasians in the world today. They have a biblical identity as Esau, Edom, right? In Arizona downtown, just doing it in the spirit again. But we're at the time now where it's being evident who the children of the Lord are, and now inquisition is being made into the council of the ungodly. People are bringing up Esau's hypocrisy at an all-time high, and now it's just time to just start bringing all his wickedness out all over again. It's not like we haven't done it before, but the excessive amount of wickedness that the so-called white man is causing the earth, that shit's going to be addressed, right? Those things will be addressed. And the pride that he had in casting down Israel, propping himself up as the righteous and holy people of the earth, as the ones that would preach and give the world morality, that's being taken out of the way, right? That hypocrisy is being taken out of the way. And now we're in the time now where his shit is up. His thing is up. America's out the door, man. Pretty soon the American dollar is going to collapse, and then what do you have next, right? Because when the American dollar collapses, hyperinflation is going to hit, right? All the price of how much people have to pay to just live in these buildings, right? That's been going up year over year, sometimes 3 times in a year. Sometimes 3 times in a year, the average price has been going up. So the Lord is indiscriminately just taking down America little by little, right? But I wanted to get into some precepts. Let's get this, man. This is 2nd Maccabee, chapter 2, or 1st Maccabees. It's the book of 1st Maccabees, chapter 2, and verse 10. All right? It says, what nation had not had part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? So what nation didn't have part in the downfall of the true Israelites, which are the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans? What nation didn't actually get a piece of the Israelites? Because you go through the triangle slave trade, you go through the Spanish Inquisition, you go through all the histories connected with the so-called Native Americans, the so-called Latinos. Everybody's had a part in just putting Jake in all type of hell, right? And Judah's got it the worst. The so-called Negroes got it the worst, right? But we all went in captivity together. When you go back into the history, right, at the same time that the so-called Negro was coming over to the Americas, it was around the same time that with Esau it was actually before. The so-called Native Americans and Latinos were getting shipped over to Europe, and after that, the Negroes are coming over to America. What? In slave ships, right? That's prophecy. So we were all going into that captivity. So the scripture's telling you what nation had not got part of the spoils. Everybody had a hand in bringing down the Israelites. Every one of these nations. And the chief one of them all is Esau, Edom, because he's the ringleader, right? Who was the one that said, raise it, even to the foundations thereof? It was the Edomites, right? When they saw Jake going down, they came and cut off the escape routes, made sure every one of us went into captivity. Right? This is Jeremiah 50. Jeremiah 50 and 7. Probably start at 6. It says, my people have been lost sheep. Their shepherds caused them to go astray. They have turned them away on the mountains. They have gone from mountain to hill. They have forgotten their resting place. And that's what happened to Jake. Through constant captivity, through constant rebellion against the Lord, we were put into all these other captivities. All these other nations had a reign and a rule over us. That what? We forgot our resting place. Even so now you got Jake that sit here and try to say that they're black, Latinos. Well, what were you before you were so-called black? Why are you the only nation in the world that gets a color? Right? Because if you take down the head tribe, which Judah is the head tribe, go into the scriptures, you read that, you'll find that out. Their whole purpose was to make sure the head tribe, because the scriptures tell you that Judah would rise up first. And his brethren would praise him, right? So Judah, the so-called Negroes, are the ones who first started this whole trek, right? And now what? Through the preaching and the gospel, right? Through pushing this truth out, nobody can deny who the true Israelites are. Everybody's heard that the Israelites are the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You got it so much so now, they're talking about this on goddamn podcasts like normal. You got Godfrey admitting, hey, those dudes in downtown that sit here, they really know they shit. Yeah, you damn right. We live this thing, man. The scriptures talk about those that be addicted, right? Addicted to the work. Well, we're those men. We're addicts to doing the work of the Lord, man. We can't go a day without it. So now the understanding that we are the Israelites is in the earth. You had a woman make a video, right? One of them Palestinian women make a video sitting there saying the so-called Negro has an ability, and you could tell that she's like, yo, what we don't identify, what we don't understand, they understand it, right? And it didn't take us just taking L's, right? Because the way the heathen do it, they only care, which is ain't off, right? But they're not gonna sit here and label wrong is wrong unless they benefit from it somehow. This is why when you go into UN councils and everything, they start talking about ill dealings. They'll use America, right? They'll use what America did to the so-called Negroes as a jump off to get their points off. But they won't sit here and talk about it on the regular conversation for the benefit. Well, the Israelites do. The Israelites do, because we have a spirit that's of a more godly spirit than them. Right? We come at this thing and tell you that, hey, yeah, the Palestinians nor those so-called Israelis belong in the land, because none of them people are the people that are supposed to be in the land. But we can agree that what them smallholders are doing to them is off. Right? It's not biblical. It's unrighteous. Right? And that's the stance of the Israelites, right? That's the stance of the true Israelites. We don't give a fuck what's happening over there. But ultimately, them the smallholders are fucking doing it wickedly. And now people are knowing that, hey, we are those people who have the knowledge of good and evil. We are as gods in earth. We give out the right judgment. Right? So Jeremiah 50 and 7, it says, all that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not. So everybody that went against the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man, and the hell that they put on the Native Americans is fucking wild. It's above and beyond wickedness what they did to the Native Americans. But what they did to the Negro too, those things have to be addressed as well.
You got that right.
Right? And at a certain point, the Lord is going to address those things. And that's what people don't understand. The things that have gone so long without anybody paying for it, the things that have gone so long without anybody paying for the evil and the cruelty that the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans suffered, hey, though those people that did those acts died, their children are here and their children will pay. Just like when you go into the scriptures in the Bible, you had children born after the wickedness of their forefathers, and those children had to pay what their fathers did. So it's not a wicked concept, it's just something that's in the scriptures. Right? Why do you think it said in the beginning, right? It was Adam and Eve, right? Eve went off, right? Eve went off, she grabbed the fruit, she ate the fruit, Adam took part in it, listening to his damn woman. But what? All of us are paying the price. All of us are paying the price because of Adam's failure to be on point. So it's not a wicked concept to understand that the children will have to pay for the sins of their fathers because they are their fathers. There's a reincarnation in the scriptures. All right, this is Jeremiah 50 and 7. All that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not. Why do you think they'll sit here and talk about the Holocaust, but they won't talk about slavery? Because these devils believe they didn't offend. You go to a thing, it's called manifest destiny. All right, let's look that up, man. Manifest destiny. Right? It says manifest destiny was the idea that white Americans were divinely ordained to settle the entire continent of North America. Right? So Esau, the so-called white man, believed that it was his manifest destiny to conquer North America. That everything that he did was justified in killing the Native Americans, killing the Latinos, and killing the so-called Negroes when he got here. He believed that it was his destiny. That's in the scriptures. He said, they offend not. Right? Jeremiah 50:7 again. It says, all that found them have devoured them, and their adversaries said, we offend not, because they have sinned against Yahweh, the habitation of justice, even Yahweh, the hope of their fathers. So they knew that when we went off, that they would have free reign to just demolish us. All these nations understood this. This is why when you go to Judith, right, the book of Judith, this is Judith, Judith 5:21. It says, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord pass by. Right? This is what the heathen were saying when they were coming up against Israel. Let my Lord pass by now. Let me get this, man. Let me just get in the sword because I didn't text message from my brother. Judith 5:20. It says, now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin. See, they understand that when Jake goes off, when you go against the order that the Lord set up, that you're gonna fail. This is why you have niggas still failing. You have people that sit here and become multi-millionaires, right? Look at Magic Johnson. He got a 6'8" son wearing heels. Right? You think that's what he wanted? He didn't want no 6'8" son wearing heels. You got all these celebrities that are so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans making all this money, but their lives are fucked up. Why? Because they go against what the Lord said. Yeah, you can make some money in this world. That's cool. But if you ain't living by what the Lord told you to live by, you're going to end up failing. And the heathen understand this. Judith 5:20, it says, now therefore let my Lord and governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overthrow them. But if there be no iniquity in their nation, right? If we haven't gone off, if we haven't transgressed what the Lord said was right? It says, let my Lord pass by, lest their Lord defend them, right? And their God be for them, and we become a reproach before all the world. So the heathen understand. That's why he said in Jeremiah 50:7, it says, we offend not, for they have sinned against their power. So going back to Jeremiah 50:8. Jeremiah 50:8, it says, remove out of the midst of Babylon, go forth out of the land of the Chaldeans, and be as the goats before the flocks. All right, so that's all I wanted on that. Jeremiah 50:7 was the point. This is Psalms 50:21. Psalms chapter 50, verse 21, it says, Psalms 50:20. It says, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother. Right? When you go into the scriptures, who is the brother of Jacob? Esau. Right? The Edomites, the whole left-hand energy that's pushed throughout the earth, that's pushed and managed and propagated through the earth through the so-called white man. He's the one who props up all type of wickedness. You can't deny it. As harsh as it sounds, that's what he does. This is why you have what? The whole alphabet community. This is why you have them bombing the hell out of fucking Palestine and nobody's saying nothing. Breaking all types of international laws, using all types of illegal weapons, right? The seeing thou hatest instruction and castest my word behind thee. Yeah, Jeremiah 50 and 19, it says, thou givest thy mouth to evil, thy tongue frameth deceit, thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thy own mother's son. It says, these things hast thou done, right? He's been able to pervert judgment, pervert righteousness, pervert the right way. Like even now, you got women not want to be women. You got men wanting to be women. That's perverting the righteous way. Right? You got women growing to the age of 38, 40, never having a kid and then crying because they never did it, because what was propped up as being the way to live, this devil propped up, and what was propped up was righteous. Having a family, sitting down, being a mother to children. Those things are righteous according to the scriptures. Right? It says, these things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes. So because he was able to get away with all the wickedness that he's done, right? All the destruction that he's given to the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans that nobody tries to talk about, right? Unless they want to sit here and benefit on their own argument. Right, like the scriptures say, O Judah, O Israel, who go about to ask how thou doest. These devils will use you as a jump off. That's all the Israelites has been relegated to in this time, as a jump off. Right? But he did all these things, and he thought the Lord was altogether such as one as himself. He thought the Lord was with him. That's that manifest destiny. This is Jeremiah 50 and 22. And it says, now consider this, ye that forget the Most High, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. And that's what people got to understand. You better remember what the Lord said to do. You better apply yourself to doing the righteous way, because at a certain day, the judgment's going to come, and we're coming close to that time. Right now, they're talking about a draft that's going to be in your future, man. They can't even meet numbers. They can't meet recruiting numbers. And then they're sitting there saying that I believe it's 60% of the U.S. is too fat to enlist. Too fat to sit out there and fight. So there's going to be people that are just going to be bodies. So the mass amount of people that are here, they're going to go into war. If you got 60% of the nation unfit to fight, well, then they're just going to get as much of the 40% as they can to fight this world. And everybody else that is here is just going to be some easy pickings. Right, this is Psalms 83. Turn on my brightness, man. Psalms 83 and 1. And it says, keep thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace. Keep not thou silence, O power. Hold not thy peace. And be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies, right? So the Lord has enemies. He does have enemies. For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, right? An uproar, right? It says, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. So the ones that hate the Lord are his enemies. What is hate according to the scriptures, right? Well, you have to understand what love is according to the scriptures. In the Bible, it tells you love is the keeping of the commandments. So going against those things is showing hate to the Lord. Committing adultery, getting another man's woman, that's fucking hate according to the Lord. Right? It says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. It says that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. So this is what the heathen have done. The enemies of the Lord, they said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Right? How did they cut the children of Israel off from being a nation? It was a consulted effort. Right? This is why when you go through the slave trade, there's Jake being shipped everywhere. Right? It was to pull them away from their land, beat their culture out of them. Some of them got assimilated into the lands they went into. Really all of them. to the point where now the Negro only gets to be called black, but you got Jewish people that get to be called Israeli, right? How come everybody else gets a color or something else, but nobody but the so-called people in the land of Israel get to be called Israelites? Why? Why doesn't everybody else have a biblical identity? Because they've taken that crafty counsel to cut us off from being a people. And we're here now to tell you that the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, right, consist of the 12 tribes of Israel. And even within the ones that consist of the 12 tribes of Israel, there's people of our nation that look like these other nations, look like so-called Ammon, look like so-called white people, right, Caucasians. There's people that look like that'll still go, according to their fathers, still go back to being one of the sons of the 12 tribes of Israel. Right? So this isn't a color thing. Right? It says Psalms 83:3, it says they have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more remembered. Right? And this is why, why do you think niggas are sitting there going on 23andMe, trying to figure out where they go back to? Because what? We've been cut off from being a people. Right? Our names have been cut off, our heritage. Right? We had whole records of who we were. And Esau came and destroyed the records, hid them, stole them, locked them up in bolts. Right? It says, verse 5, it says, they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee, the tabernacles of Edom. Right? So when you go into the Bible, you go into the scriptures, there are nations, right? And the tabernacle of Edom, when you go into the tabernacle, it basically means a house. The house of Edom, which consists of the Amalekites, which are in the land of Israel right now, bombing the hell out of nations. Right? Controlling cancel culture in the fucking earth. Well, the Lord is going to sit here and pull out a judgment against those people. It says the tabernacle of Edom and the Ishmaelites, right? The Arabs, and Moab, the so-called Chinese, right? And the Hagarenes, going to a tribe of the Hamites. Gebal and Ammon is talking about the Japanese. Amalek going into the small hatters in the land of Israel right now. That's who they really go back to. They're not Israelites, right? They're not Jews. They're Amalekites, right? The Philistines, another nation of Hamites, another nation of Africans, right? It says, with the inhabitants of Tyre. So all these nations have consulted to cast us down. And Esau was the chief of them. He's the ringleader. Right? This is Isaiah 47. Isaiah 47:6, it says, I was wroth with my people. So the Lord said he was wroth, meaning angry with his people. I have polluted my inheritance and given them into thine hand. And who did the Lord give his inheritance into his hands? Right? Jake was given, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans were given into the hand of their enemies, the wicked, the so-called white man, which was the chief, and other nations. So he polluted us through the scattering among these nations. It says, and given them into thine hand, and thou didst show them no mercy. Well, the scriptures tell you in the New Testament, he shall have judgment without mercy, who did show no mercy. Well, look at what Esau's done. Look at what the so-called white man's done. Look at what the heathen have done. Right? You go into the Arabs, man, they fuck up Jake over there. Look up the thing called the Untouchables, right? The Untouchables are among Elam, I believe it is, right? And when you look at the so-called Untouchables, man, they got way more spirit and way more flavor than the fucking regular heathen, man. They didn't know they're Israelites. That's why they make all types of laws that if you go back to Untouchables and you try to marry somebody who's not of your own lineage, they find out you can be subject to go into slavery under that family. That's over there in the Middle East, over there in Elam's land, right? the Indians and shit. So they do all, the heathen didn't show us any mercy. And Esau for damn sure ain't show us no mercy. Because at the drop of a dime, when they started bombing Ukraine, when the shit popped up in Ukraine, how many billions of dollars went over to Ukraine? Right? But while Jake was getting lynched for fucking eons, while they still have fucking sundown towns in America right now, where if your ass is black in that town at sunfall, right, you're liable to have all type of shit happen to you. Nothing happens for you, but they send millions and billions of dollars to Ukraine, a nation that's afar off. They send billions of dollars, millions of dollars to Israel every year, and even more right now. So they show you that they don't give a fuck about you. Right? In the midst where all these cops were fucking showing up, killing Jake, they sat here and made laws to ensure that anti-Asian hate crimes, but at the same time, you was on the news getting lynched every fucking day, shot by the police. These Edomites, the so-called white man, shows you don't give a fuck about you niggas, man. Right? And people from other countries that come here and act like it's all sweet, and then they find out, yeah, this devil's a fucking devil. Look at what he does. You got those people from South America coming up here and they just trying to sit here and get to a better life. And you got people in America sitting there like, oh yeah, they're cheating the system, right? They need to go back to their own land. They deserve what they're getting. They're sitting here and say these people are entitled. Well, hell yeah. Your own nation went into their land and dismantled their fucking people to the point where they felt like they trekking through a jungle with jaguars was a better option than to staying out here, man. Well, the Lord's gonna sit here and put out a judgment against these things. Right? This is back in Isaiah 47:6. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
All right. It says, I was wroth with my people, I polluted mine inheritance, and have given them into thine hand. And thou didst show them no mercy, and upon the ancients hast thou very heavily laid thy yoke. Esau didn't have no fucking pity upon the old. He beat everybody alike. Right? It says, verse 7, it says, thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thine heart. Right? In his mind, everything he was doing was destined. That was his right. It was his sworn duty to sit here and just destroy Jake. That's his mindset. So he said, I'm gonna sit a lady forever. My kingdom's gonna be the best. America is the best country in the world. This is what he's done. All right? Upon the ancient, it says, verse 7 again, it says, thou saidest, I shall be a lady forever. To be called a lady forever means what? You're above judgment. Look at women. There's a scripture in the second Esdras, or in first Esdras actually, that the king's concubine slapped him, and the king looked her dead in the eye in awe and laughed. Women are a function in a rationale in this world that's above judgment. So that's what Esau's mindset is, right? That he's above judgment. When he says, I shall sit as a lady forever, right? He's saying, I shall know no judgment. He says, I shall be a lady forever, so that thou didst not lay these things to thy heart, neither didst thou remember the latter end of them. And what is the latter end of the slavery, the rape, robbing, murder that Esau, the so-called white man, has done to the Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, man? What is the latter end of those things? That he's going to have to go into that same type of judgment, that same type of punishment. That's called righteous judgment, right? The balances have to be weighed. When you go into the history, right? Jake didn't do anything to Esau that Esau didn't perpetuate first. So judgment is going to be paid back. The Lord is going to balance these things out. And Esau has been weighed in the balance and is found wanting. His wickedness, his sin, his depravity has been weighed on the Lord's scale. And now what? A judgment has to come forth against these things. It says, therefore, hear now this, thou that are given to pleasure, that dwellest carelessly. And America is a country that wholly dwells carelessly. A lot of people don't even know the extent of why the wars pop off in the places that they pop off. People are more worried about sports, eating, and celebrity gossip than international policy that affects them. They don't even know the laws that are passed in their government. They don't even try to know them. I remember I told a Jake from work about the whole CVID when it first popped off. He said, hey, you're a little too deep. He said, you're too deep, man. So Jake in America, they don't really care. They don't care about what the Lord says. People don't really try to understand the order of the world, because this place does carelessly. And why do and at the fact that Jake is here and he don't care what's going on in the world, nigga, this is your fucking world. The scriptures tell you the Lord made the world for our sake. You Jakes, y'all should know everything that's fucking going on. This is our house, right? It's just been given into the rulership of Esau for the moment. Right? This is reading on. It says, therefore, verse 8 again. Therefore, hear now this, thou that art given to pleasure, that dwellest carelessly, that sayest in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. I shall not sit as a widow, neither shall I know the loss of children. That's that mindset of I ain't never gonna have to pay for this. Right? What you niggas gonna do? Because he didn't count and factor in that the Lord was gonna do something. Right? He didn't factor in that the Lord was gonna put out a judgment against these things. This is let me get this next one, bro. This is Zechariah 1. Zechariah 1 and 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. Right? I'm going to start up. No, this is the point. Zechariah 1 and 15. And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. So the Lord sees the wealth that the other nations flow in, the way they're able to sit here and just function and live easy. Right? And they helped for the affliction. So the Lord said he's very displeased with the heathen that are at ease, for they helped forward the affliction. They helped ensure that what? That Jake was always getting destroyed. That we were always getting torn down and ripped up. Right? It says verse 16, it says, therefore thus saith Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house shall be built in it, saith Yahweh of hosts, and a line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. So the Lord said he's going to return to us with ease. Right? He's going to return to us and show us mercy. After all this wickedness that Esau's been able to see and just push on us, what the judgment's going to come back. And when the Lord returns to us with mercy, that comes with supremacy. Because all this stuff has happened to us because what? We went against the Lord. Esau's been given free reign, and the heathen have been given free reign. And look at the muck that he's ran. Look at the muck that he's ran. He's ruined and he's just collapsed everything. It's a lucky, man. They trying to move these brothers off the block. I'll move. Come over here. Right? So it says, so it says, therefore, thus saith Yahweh, I am returned to Jerusalem with mercies. My house should be built in it. Said the Lord, Yahweh of hosts, and the line shall be stretched forth upon Jerusalem. Right? So the Lord is going to set us back up. I'll move. Come over here. I'll move. I'll move. You just just stay above this line. You just can't go under, you just can't go under the thing. Come on. All right then. Shalom. It says, Revelation 13 and 10, because he didn't consider the latter end, right? What is the latter end? Revelation 13 and 10 says it all, right? This is the latter end. It says, verse 9, it says, if any man have an ear, right? Revelation 13 and 9. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. That's in the scriptures. That's in the book of Revelation. Right? When it starts mentioning so-called Jesus Christ, whose true name in the Hebrew is Yahushua, these are things written in the scriptures. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. It says, here is the patience and the faith of the saints. And this is what the saints will be patiently waiting for in faith. That, yeah, we're taking the low now, but soon the Lord is going to come back and put out true judgment, true righteous judgment. It makes no sense how these people can sit here and kill somebody's son, right? Go to jail for fucking life, while their parents never got any retribution. You got niggas just floating down the street. It's wild, bro. The Lord has to come out back and set shit in order, because niggas got to be deleted, man. Certain niggas got to be deleted. Look at this nigga just float down the street. This nigga is levitating. Right? That's madness, bro. Madness. But the Lord said what? He that leadeth into captivity. And Esau's led all the tribes into captivity. And don't get it twisted. Those that are in the land, in South America and shit, that they're so-called in their own country still. Right? Those that are in South America and shit, hey, they understand what slavery was. Go over there to Venezuela, go over to Cuba, right? Go over to these nations, and they know who conquered them. They talk about it constantly. I've been watching these tribal shows and shit, they always talking about it. Yeah, the church was set up by colonizers and everything like that. All these people in these other countries, they understand that Esau, the so-called white man, is a fucking problem. But it's niggas here that conflate the fact that they're able to live, eat, go to work, buy what they want, put the shoes on that they want, fuck bitches that they're able to get. They conflate those things to freedom. But the Lord has a judgment against those that put us in those type of captivities. Right? Just like he had a judgment against Egypt. Right? The scriptures tell you Egypt made the children of Israel to work with rigor. Right? It's that bitterness. Beating you down, demoralizing you, taking your children away, casting them into the river. That's rigor. So the Lord said, he that leadeth into captivity, oh my gosh, niggas are just floating everywhere. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. He that killed with the sword, and Esau killed us by the thousands, by the millions. Right? They used to send postcards with hung up, lynched up Negroes on postcards to their families. Right? Where you get the word picnic, right? It actually goes back to a term called pick a nigga. And they used to literally lynch somebody, and people would take little souvenirs back home with pieces of the body parts off of the people that they lynched. This is what happened in America. This is Esau's handiwork. This is what the so-called white man's handiwork was in the land. So he's going to go into captivity. He's going to be killed with the sword, right? And not by our own hands right now, because the Lord is going to put those judgments out. We ain't got to do nothing. But that's the latter end. Exodus 21, 16. It says, and he, Exodus 21 and 16, this is in the law of the Lord. Right? These are the things that are supposed to govern life, the laws of the Lord. So it says, Exodus 21 and 16, he that stealeth a man and selleth him, or if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. So that's what the judgment of the Lord is. He that steals a man and sells him, he shall surely be put to death. So Esau's been the one that's stolen entire nations of people, put them over to their country, made them work, gave them no wages. Then after they fucking freed them, gave them fucking, what is it called? Gave them laws like Jim Crow laws, redlining, made it illegal for you to be homeless. But right after slavery, where the hell was you gonna go? So he made it legal to put them back into slavery, right? So he that stealeth a man and selleth him, if he be found in his hand, he shall surely be put to death. Well, the Lord is coming. And guess what the Lord is gonna see? The Lord is gonna find the Israelites, so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He's gonna find the Israelites in the hand of Esau, Edom. And the Lord is gonna put a judgment against you for that, right? Jacob's lost, bro. Driving downtown on a pink bike, blasting the devil. Jacob's lost, bro. Right? So this is Baruch 4. Baruch chapter 4 and 24. And it says, I'll start at 21. It says, be of good cheer, O my children. Cry unto the Lord, and he will deliver you from the power of the hand of the enemies. And that's what brothers have been doing. All right, coming out here and profiting, preaching and prophesying the downfall of America. That's us crying to the Lord. Having an issue with the way life is conducted here, that causes a cry to the Lord. Right? How long did this shit have to keep going on? You got women that abuse the relationship with a man so long that now they're 60, undesirable, fucked up, crying because they tired of being alone. Right? Well, on their part, even though they're getting the judgment that they deserve, right, on their part, that's a cry to the Lord. Right? It says, for my hope is in the everlasting, that he will save you. And joy is come unto me from the Holy One, because of the mercy which shall soon come unto you from the everlasting, our Savior. Right? So there's going to be a mercy shown unto to the scattered, the elect of the scattered in these last days. And and what you have to understand is the crux, tippy top of that mercy that's going to be shown is giving us dominion over everything, man. Because whether or not you want to believe it, the Lord made a certain people above everybody. And that's how life is. At every junction in history, there has been one people that have been placed above another. But when it comes down to the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans getting that lot to be placed above all others, then it's seen as something that's wicked. Then it's seen as something that's unrighteous and oppressive. But the other nations have been able to do the same things to us. So it says, Baruch 4 and 23, it says, for I sent you out with mourning and weeping, but God will give you to me again with joy and gladness forever. Like as, it says, like as now the neighbors of Zion have seen your captivity, and everybody's seen the base state that we've been put in America, man, around the world. I mean, over in Mexico, you're talking about a place that is lush and beautiful. They got all type of resources there, and somehow those same people are in a state of poverty under America, but America gets everything from them, right? Even to the point where they build up a lot of this infrastructure here, right? So like as our neighbors have seen the captivity, our captivities here, witness it, right? Cataloged it, used it as a talking point to get their message across, right? So shall they see shortly your salvation from our power, which shall come upon you with great glory and brightness of the everlasting, right? So there's going to be a power that delivers us. They're going to see the glory that comes upon us, right? Because we're going to be put above these nations. That's why when you go in, get in another scripture, Deuteronomy, it's the book of Deuteronomy 7 and 6, it says, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God, The Lord thy God has chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all the people that are upon the face of the earth. So the Lord chose us to be a special people unto himself. The Lord chose us to be over the other nations. So yes, there is a supremacist mindset to the kingdom of heaven, because we're going to be placed above the other nations. This is why when you go into the Revelation, the 2nd chapter, let me just get it, man. Revelation 2 and 26, it says, and he that overcometh and keepeth my works unto the end, to him will I give power over the nations. That seems like supremacy, right? When you go into the book of 2nd Ezra, it tells you the Lord chose in one plot, one people, one land, one lily. He chose somebody to be better than everybody else, right? Of all the flowers, the Lord chose a lily. Of all the flocks, the Lord chose the sheep. And of all the people, the Lord chose the Israelites. So the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans, are 100% better than everybody else. Right? So back in Deuteronomy 7:6, it says, let's see if I can go back on this like that. Nah, I can't. Deuteronomy 7:6, it says, for thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself. The Lord chose one people to be better than everybody else. He did. And it's not just the Negroes, it's the so-called Native Americans, and it's the so-called Latinos. We're all of the same tribe. We're all of the same people. This is why we're going through almost all the same shit. All right? It says, unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. So that supremacy is part of the blessing. When the Lord gives us the law, statutes, and commandments, like the scriptures say, what people is so great to have the Lord so nigh unto them. No other nation has a Lord near them like unto Israel, man. He don't deal with anybody else. That's Psalms 147. Let's get that. Psalms 147 and 19, he says, he showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He had not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So the Lord doesn't deal with anybody else. The Lord only deals with his own people. So back in Baruch 4:25, it says, my children suffer patiently the wrath of the Lord, the wrath that has come upon you from the Most High. It says, for thine enemy hath persecuted thee, but surely thou shalt see his destruction, and shalt tread upon his neck. That's called supremacy. So the salvation ties into the supremacy of the Israelites being propped back up in the earth. Right? Where everybody knows, yeah, those are the people of the Lord. Those are the sons of God. Right? We fools accounted as life madness, like it says in Wisdom of Solomon. Right? People are going to come into that mindset that, hey, these are the true children of Israel, right? The so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the true children of Israel. And it's by lineage, you can go into prophecy, because the true people of the Lord would have to fulfill prophecy. And those in the land of Israel right now aren't fulfilling no fucking prophecy. Right? This is Psalms 149. Psalms 149 and 4. It says, I'll start at 3. It says, let them praise his name and dance. Let them sing praises unto him with the timbrel and harp. Verse 4, it says, for the Lord taketh pleasure in his people. He will beautify the meek with salvation. So the Lord said he takes pleasure in his people. Who are the people of the Lord? The Israelites. Nobody else can sit here and take that title on. So just because you believe, or you say you believe, doesn't make you an Israelite. Right? You have to be an Israelite by bloodline. That's why when Paul was on the earth, what did he say to the Israel? What did he say to the people when he went to the lands? He said, hey, to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, greetings. All right? The Lord said, you only have I known of all the nations, of all the families of the earth. Therefore will I punish you for your iniquities. Right? Nobody else can sit here and say that they're the people of the Lord, because the Lord has his own people. He chose them. You can't just make yourself a person of the Lord. It says, let the saints be joyful in glory. Let them sing aloud upon their beds. Let the praise of the Most High be in their mouth and a two-edged sword in their hand, to execute vengeance upon the heathen and punishment upon the people. That comes with supremacy. That's what the salvation of the Lord comes with. Right? It comes with deliverance from destruction and the supremacy of his people back on the earth. Because the heathen have supremacy over the earth. Everybody has had an opportunity to sit here and just stump out the so-called Negroes, the Spanish, and Native American. But the Lord is coming back to set up his true people in the earth again, and to let us have the rulership over the earth again. And that's when life really begins, is when the elect get back in the rulership. Because this ain't living here, man. Going to work a third of your hours, right? You're really at work, right? 8 hours a day. Let's say if you work a regular 8-hour shift, 24 hours in a day, 6 to 8 hours sleeping, get another 8 hours of work in, and you got to drive another hour and a half, right? Hour and a half in traffic. You only get 2-3 hours of free time yourself. So this isn't living here, man. You don't get to enjoy your kids. You don't get to enjoy your substance. Your food's defiled. This isn't living. But when the Lord puts us back in a rulership, that's when living starts. Right? This is Isaiah 60. And I'll start at 10. It says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls. Hey, doesn't that sound like captivity? There actually might be something in the right side. Yeah, there's more in this, but I don't need the top part. So Isaiah 60, and I'll start at 8. It says, who are these that fly as clouds and as doves to their windows? Surely the isles shall wait for me, and the ships of Tarshish first, to bring thy sons from far, their silver and their gold with them, unto the name of Yahweh thy power, and to the Holy One of Israel, because he had glorified thee. Right? So when we get into rulership and the Lord gives us the supremacy on the earth, all these nations will sit here and give and flow and bring us their wealth. That's part of the blessing. All right? Isaiah 60 and 10, it says, and the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls, and their kings shall minister unto thee. That's servitude. If you have kings, right, building up your walls and serving you, that means you're in a rulership position over them. It says, minister unto thee, for in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor I have had mercy on thee. Therefore, thy gate shall be open continually. They shall not be shut day nor night, that men may bring unto thee the forces of the Gentiles. Right? And that's what it's going to be. The kingdom of heaven is literally going to be an entirely well-organized, well-oiled machine in business. Right? It's rulership. It's supremacy over our enemies. It's the Lord giving us the reign to be above them. Right? It says, unto thee the forces of the Gentiles, and that their kings may be brought. For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. That's in the scriptures. The Lord is saying the nation and kingdom that doesn't bow down, that doesn't do what we say, is going to perish. So all this, the heathen are going to hook up and come back, and Esau's going to come back in a rulership when the kingdom of heaven is popped up. That makes no sense. Right? And I was listening to the UK brothers, the elder Rapaya Kwam, he was sitting there saying, and he made a great point. He sat here and said that at that point, when we get that type of power from the Lord, the heathen will deliver up anybody that tries to come against us. That's a blessing, to be given power over the nations. That's what the Israelites had in the beginning. When David was in the world, what did he do? What was his first job when he came in the world? To put the heathen under his authority, to conquer the heathen. That's in the scriptures. That's what it talks about, the throne of David. Under the throne of David, did the heathen have a full reign, be able to walk around? No. Under the throne of David, he was able what? To conquer all the heathen, put them down round about, and then Solomon, his son, whose kingdom was a foreshadowing of the kingdom to come, right, was able to reign in peace. Well, that's what the Lord's going to give us. He's going to give us the power to subdue the heathen, right, when he comes and he gets his first licks. And then we're going to come down, setting up shop in the earth, putting everything right back in order. Because this is disorder. Concrete everywhere, right? Poisonous chemicals and materials used in buildings. Water all polluted. This is what happens when the heathen rule. Right? So verse 12 again. Isaiah 60 and 12, it says, "For the nation and kingdom that will not serve thee shall perish. Yeah, those nations shall be utterly wasted. The glory of Lebanon shall come unto thee, the fir tree and the pine tree and the box tree together." All these trees are trees that are known to what? Resist rot. It says, "To beautify the place of thy sanctuary, and I will make the place of my feet glorious." And what is the place of the Lord's feet? Jerusalem. Right? It says, "The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet." That's supremacy. Right? The Lord is a very supremacist power, and he puts his people above everybody. Even though he lets the heathen have their time, right? The heathen really got their reign because what? We went off. Because we transgressed. But like I read in Judah, the 5th chapter, when we didn't transgress, there was nothing you can do against us. And the Lord is going to give us what? The new covenant. And what is the new covenant? The scriptures tell you that the Lord is going to make a new covenant with the house of Jacob, and with the house of Israel, and the house of Judah, right? And he's going to put the laws, statutes, and commandments in their inward parts and make them serve the Lord. Meaning he's going to make us perfect. He's going to make us to the point where we'll never be able to go off again. And what? That way what? We would never go off, and we would always have the rulership. We would always have the supremacy in the earth. We would always be good with our power and be before his sight. That's what that salvation comes with, man. Isaiah 60 and 14, it says, "The sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all they that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel." So at that point, they're going to know, hey, these are the people of the Lord. The Lord loves them. When the Lord gives us the supremacy back in the earth, man. Because look at it. We at the bottom. Nobody's expecting a so-called Negro, Hispanic, Native American to be nothing but what Esau tells them. But when the Lord comes and he gives us the salvation, it comes with us getting the power that we had with him in the beginning. Right? This is Isaiah 49. Isaiah 49 and 19, it says, "For thy waste in thy desolate places," I started at 18, it says, "Lift up thine eyes round about thee, and behold, all these gather themselves together and come to thee. As I live, say Yahweh, thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all." What does it mean that thou shalt surely clothe thee with them all? Let me see if I can get this in a blue letter so I can get the NLT and whatnot. Isaiah 49 and 18. That's a bad translation. It says, and bind them on thee as a bride doeth. For thy waste in thy desolate places, verse 19, in thy desolate places, in the land of thy destruction, shall even now be too narrow by reason of the inhabitants, and they that shall follow thee shall be far away. Basically meaning when we get the blessing and the Lord starts building us up, that what the place that we are now is just going to be too narrow for us to accept the entire blessing, man, because our nation is going to be able to grow like they once were. Since verse 20 says, the children which thou shalt have, so like in verse 20 it says, the children which thou shalt have, after thou hast lost the other, shall say again in thine ears, the place is too straight for me, give place to me that I may dwell. Man, hey man, I need my own spot. Give me an inheritance. That's how it's going to be. And we're going to be in a position to actually give out inheritance to our children. Not like now, where majority of Jake, man, you can't give an inheritance, man. We too poor. We're too downtrodden, right? Every generation is expected just to hold on to as much as they can for however long they can, and they don't set it up for the next generation down the line to come up. So everybody glories in the fact that what you made it out the mud. Well, at what point do you set up your people to be out the fucking mud? Life wasn't meant to be out the fucking mud, man. I told my woman's nephew, right? Her nephew-in-law, I was like, I know your pops, he's using the mindset that you'll figure it out on your own time. On the mindset of, no, I'm gonna give you the game, so when you do have to figure it out, you can get past it quicker. Right? That's how life is supposed to be. You're supposed to leave something so that you're able to build on it, because you're gonna come back in your generation, man. This is why Esau, the so-called white man, when he dies, he leaves his kids an inheritance. And it helps them so they can set up their children and their children after them. But the so-called Negroes and Spanish and Native Americans, they don't have that system, because the Lord tucked that away from us. Right? It says, give place to me that I might dwell. Then shalt thou say in thine heart, who hath begotten me these, seeing I have lost my children, and am desolate and a captive, and removing to and fro. And who have brought up these? Behold, I was left alone. These were had. I was left alone. These, where had they been? Right? Because they're looking at their state and they're knowing, hey man, I was desolate. I didn't have nothing. My children died. Hey, we're on the bottom here. So when we get that type of blessing, we're gonna be like, hey, where did these kids come from? How do I have this much? How is my family this big? Where did all this come from, man? Because the Lord is gonna bless us. Right? This is Isaiah 2. Isaiah 2:2, it says, I'll start at 1. It says, the word that Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem, and it shall come to pass in the last days, and that's where we're at now. We're in the last days. That the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. That's that supremacy again. So the Lord said what? The mountain of the Lord's house is going to be established in the top of the mountains. Right? Is it talking about physical mountains, or is it allegorical speech? So it says the mountains of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. That word mountain actually goes back to government. So the government of the Lord's people is going to be established above everybody else. Just like Esau right now, America is the government above everybody else's government. Well, the Lord is going to set up a kingdom on earth that is going to be above everybody else. And it says, in the top of the mountains, it shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow into it. So we're going to be a nation above all nations. It's going to be exalted above all other nations, right? And everybody's going to flow unto us, because what? They have to come to us and know how to function. It says, and many people shall go and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord's house, to the mountain of the Lord, to the house of the God of Jacob, right? And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word from the Lord, and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. Because what? We will be the lawgivers. Remember, the scriptures tell you we're going to be a nation of kings and priests. So to be able to function, you have to come to us. That's supremacy. Right? It says, and he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords in the plowshares, and their spears in the pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. So if the people that were in the land of Israel right now were the people of the Lord, the scripture says the nations will learn war no more. Once the children of Israel got back in their land. So if 1948 and the Balfour Declaration was fulfilling that prophecy, why in the hell is there war still now? Because those people don't fit the prophecies. Right? This isn't coming out our ass. This is deduction. Basic deduction, watch. Right? Like you said, like Sherlock Holmes would say, basic deduction, watch. Right? Zechariah 10. Zechariah 10 and 6. It says, I'll start at 5. It says, and they shall be as mighty men, which tread down their enemies in the mire of the street in the battle, and they shall fight, because Yahweh is with them, and the riders on horses shall be confounded. Meaning what? Their armies. Right? It says, and I will strengthen the house of Judah, and I will save the house of Joseph, going to the northern and southern kingdoms, and I will bring them again to the place to place them, for I will have mercy upon them, and they shall be as though I had not cast them off. For I am Yahweh their God, and I will hear them. Right? It says, and they of Ephraim shall be like a mighty man, and their heart shall rejoice as through wine. Yeah, their children shall see it and be glad. Their heart shall rejoice in Yahweh. I will hiss for them and gather them, for I have redeemed them, and they shall increase as they have increased. And I will sow them among the people, and they shall remember me in far countries, and they shall live with their children and turn again. I will bring them out, and I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt, and gather them out of Assyria, because these are both places that Judah was always going into Egypt, right? Always worshiping their gods. And the northern kingdom was always doting on the Assyrians, right? These are the two major captivities. 10 tribes went into Assyria in a major captivity, and Judah went into captivity in Babylon, and they were always going back into Egypt, right? Go into the history. Judah always went into Egypt. Israel, the 10 tribes, always went into Assyria, right? And I will bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall be not found for them. I mean, we're just going to be that abundant, right? Isaiah 45 and 14. It says, start at Isaiah 45 and start at 13. It says, I have raised him up in righteousness, and I will direct all his ways. He shall build my city, and he shall let go my captives, not for price nor reward, say Yahweh hosts. It says verse 14, thus say Yahweh, the labor of Egypt, and the merchandise of Ethiopia, and the Sabeans, men of stature shall come over unto thee, and they shall be thine. Meaning y'all gonna give it all up. That's supremacy. Run me your shit. I need my tents. Right? We're gonna come and collect tithes and how do they say it? Tribute from the other nations. That's supremacy. Lord said what? Who did the children pay tribute to? Of their own or of others? And he said of others. He said, then are the children free. The nations will be under our subjection. Right? It says, the scriptures tell you that they're going to be bondmen and bondwomen unto the house of Israel. I believe that's Isaiah the 14th chapter, right? It says, they shall come after thee, in chains they shall come over. They shall fall down unto thee. They shall make supplication unto thee, saying, surely God is in thee, and there is none else. There is no power, right? That's what the other nation is going to do. They're going to sit here and acknowledge that, hey, we the children of Israel, right? When they go into captivity, there's no other God. There's no other power. God is with y'all. They're going to admit that. It says, verily, thou art that hidest thy face, O power of Israel, the Savior. Because what? He's going to come and get us out of this. Let me get this one real quick. It says, Jeremiah 30. Jeremiah 30 and 16. It says, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. It says, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. So that's in the Bible. That's in the scriptures. That's in the Bible. That anybody who preyed upon the Lord's people, the Lord is going to give those people for a prey. And who are the Lord's people? So-called Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Even those that are that look like other nations. If you vibe with the word, the scriptures tell you the Lord is only going to be known by his own people. So if you vibe with the word and you understand this, you're one of the Lord's people. It's not based on skin color. The Lord judges not as men judge. Right? For the Lord said he was going to give all those that spoiled us, all that was preyed upon us, he's going to give us a prey, for a prey and for a spoil. And we will devour them, we'll break their ass down. This is why the nations are going to be ruled with a rod of iron. Because you did it to us. Right? Like it says in Thessalonians, in the time where our obedience is fulfilled, having an all readiness, right, to avenge those that live in disobedience, roughly paraphrasing. But there's going to come a time where we're given that duty. It says, I will restore health unto thee, and I will heal thee of thy wounds, say Yahweh, because they call thee an outcast, saying, this is Zion, whom no man seeketh after. Thus say Yahweh, behold, I will bring again the captivity of Jacob's tents, and have mercy on his dwelling places, and the city shall be builded up upon her heap, upon her own heap, and the palace shall remain after the manner of thereof, and out of them shall proceed thanksgiving, the voice of them that make merry, and I will multiply them, and they shall not be few. I will also glorify them, and they shall not be small. Their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. And that's what the Lord's going to set up, a punishment for all that oppressed us. And this is what people don't want, a retribution. Because there's going to be a righteous retribution. Slavery is going to be paid back. Red line is going to be paid back. Right? The Lord's going to do these things. This is what Esau thinks he got away with. Right? The Lord has a punishment and a righteous just desert for those who put out that. Right? This is Micah. I'll end it on this one. Micah 4. Micah 4 and 2, it says, I'll start at 1, it says, but in the last days it shall come to pass that the mountain of the Lord's house shall be established in the top of the mountains, and it shall be exalted above the hills, and the people shall flow into it, and many nations shall come unto thee, and shall come and say, come and let us go up to the mountain of the Lord, and to the house of the God of Jacob. And he will teach us his ways, and we will walk in his paths. For the law shall go forth of Zion, and the word from the Lord of Jerusalem, from Yahweh of Jerusalem. And he shall judge among many people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords and the plowshares and the spears and the pruning hooks. Nations shall lift up sword against nation, neither should they learn war anymore. And that's what's going to happen when we get set up. So all this shit, everything we go through now, this is in the meantime thing, right? That's why the end of this is at hand. But we're seeking for a kingdom that is for to come, where we're going to be set up above all the nations. We're going to have the glory above all nations. We're going to put these nations in the chains, right? Put them in captivity just like they did to us. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, right? And these nations that put us into captivity, whether or not they want to admit that even now their nations are propped up because of what we did, right? Well, our nation is going to be propped up for the work that you're going to do for us, right? And it's going to continue, and it's not going to stop. So Lord wanted us to edify and say, call Allah, Yahweh, Ba'ashim, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashim, Karkadash, Shalom.